first thing I want to do when talking about marketing is just kind of give some definitions, because I think we get it wrong all the time. And so there's marketing, and there's advertising, and there's branding, and those are some big words, and they can all mean a lot of different things. So I'm going to just kind of knock that down a little bit. So marketing is the action or business of promoting and selling products. I like it. An advertisement is a very specific thing. It's a notice or an announcement in a public medium about the selling of said products or services. And branding is the process that involves of capturing like mental real estate in the minds of people. So it's all marketing. Branding is a bigger idea that happens over time, and you really gain some market share in somebody's head, which is awesome. An advertisement, that's a very specific marketing tool. And so marketing is the big umbrella for sure. Branding is something that happens. Ads are tools that we use to make those things happen. So really, I just want to make sure that we're like clear on what we think the definitions of those are, because that always makes life a little bit easier. So the first thing I want to talk about is our message. I want to talk about, a little bit tongue-in-cheek on, like this beast of marketing. And they asked me to be here so that I can kind of demystify what marketing is, because it sounds like a thing that none of us can figure out because it's big, and I want to make this sound kind of simple. So I'm going to have some awesome points that you're going to take away. They're paying me a ton of money to be here right now. And no, really, it's just my own 2 cents. And maybe I know a thing or two, or I'm a madman, or I'm somewhere in between, which is probably the truth. But let's talk about understanding our audience first. And the first thing we got to do is sort of understand the audience, and we have to understand our product. So you have to know what you're selling. That's the first thing. And you have to be able to figure out a way to make that message concise. And that's hence the elevator pitch. Like we've all heard of an elevator pitch. The 10 to 20 second plain language, straightforward version to tell people what it is that you have or what it is that you do. So I think that this is vital. You have to understand what that is, and whenever you take the time to really craft something really short, really concise, and you can deliver it in 10 or 15 seconds, like that's powerful and amazing. And once you have that, you don't have to reinvent that all the time, and you should not reinvent that all the time. So what are you selling? What are you doing? And so the questions you're going to want to ask are, what is it that you have, product or service? Like, why is it special, and why does someone need it? Those are the questions you have to answer. It's really pretty simple. Why is it special? Why does somebody need it? What am I actually doing? And I'm not even talking about being clever about it. I'm saying be very literal. Like, I sell insurance. People need insurance because people die. People, I'm sorry. Anyway, forgive me. I'm always crass, but people do. I didn't make that up, and I didn't create it. So the last question, like, why does somebody need it? That's the real vital question. So not everybody needs it. So that's important to know too. Like once you kind of figure out who needs it, that's like layman's terms for target market. Like who needs what you have. And the cool thing about that is once you figure out who needs it, you can figure out how to like employ some empathy for that person. Not everybody's going to need it, and you might not even be your own target market. A good example that I love to use, and it's just fun, is I call it my leather pants analogy, is that let's say that I find an opening in the marketplace for selling leather pants. I have the highest quality leather. I have like the most affordable pant. I have an awesome ad campaign. It's funny and clever about leather pants. And guess who's not wearing leather pants? This guy. And don't judge me, just believe me that I'm not going to wear them. But so it's really important to decide who is my audience. And once you decide, hey, these are the people that like leather pants, then you can go about the next mission of trying to find out like, hey, how do I put a message in front of them? And what should that message be? You've already decided for yourself, I hope, that the most simple elevator pitch message that you could possibly deliver might be, we sell high quality, affordable leather pants that make you look amazing. That's very simple, straightforward, no frills, no thrills, but the message like sails across because we're all smart enough to understand it. And I love the simplicity of that message. And that message can't get tired because you're not being cute, you're not being funny, you're not even being light. You're being like really open and honest and serious. So I would say that, selling the leather pants is important. Whatever your business is that's not leather pants is going to be equally important for you to figure out who those people are and what the easiest, fastest way that you could tell them what it is that you do. Because that's the message that's going to get by. All right, so once you decide what your product or service is and why it's distinct and who might want it, you're really going to start having this big problem called I have to tell them about it now. Now you have more opportunity to tell them more about these leather pants, the quality of the grain and all the good stuff. So you're going to want to have messages that have this word value. And I love that word, and I'm going to say that word for the rest of while I'm standing up here, because there's real value and fake value. There's real value and perceived value. Perceived value is really the hype. It's like, we have a website. Well, congratulations, that looks good, but did you do anything with it? Does it actually say anything? Is it actually going to make a difference? That's the real value part. And so many marketers and so many people, and I don't know how many of you are entrepreneurs or business owners, or if you're just salespeople perhaps, or you're in front of people, but you got to bring real value to the table every single time. So you want to leave people better than you found them. That's real value. So whether it's and we'll come to talk about this more in a minute, but whether it's an email marketing newsletter or whether it's a social media post, you want to leave them better than you found them. And that's real value versus hey, guess what I do? That's just perceived value. So it's I'm making noise, that's one thing. Actually giving something away is totally different. So back to the message, and I might skip things. So back to the message at hand, really what we're going to do is we're going to be simple. So simple, in fact, that we could talk to a caveman. We want a caveman or cave woman, to be able to fully understand what it is that we're offering. And again, this isn't about being clever. There's room for that at some point, but in the beginning of what we're going to do, we're just talking about a simple message that anybody can understand and relate to. And so to me, that is making it caveman level simple. And I don't think you can ever go wrong there, because every single day our lives are filled with messages, right? So you wake up in the morning, you turn by your bedside table, you grab the device that we love, and we scroll through all the stuff, and we get Facebook ads, and we get Facebook messages, and 1,200 people on Facebook, Aunt Bertha had another kidney stone, or what have you, and then you get in the car, you take your kids to school, and there's a radio ad, and you're okay, there's more information coming at me, and then you get that unexpected, text message from I don't know, your work that says can you come in on Saturday, or whatever the case is. We're inundated with messages. So what could be more obvious and powerful than having one clear, concise, and fast message that somebody could take in quickly, not have to even interpret it, not even give it a value, but hear it. I think that's vitally important. So once you have that clear, powerful message, you're going to use that message consistently. You're never going to stop using it. And see, here's the key. Everybody gets tired of this, because you're going to get tired of it. You're going to get sick and tired of it. And you're going to be gosh, I've been saying that for 3 weeks. Can't I say something else? The answer to that is no. You have to keep saying that. And it's the same reason why, on the radio, you hear that song over and over, and you even start to fuss about it. It's probably Ed Sheeran, and I love that guy. But that song plays over and over again. But why are they doing that? They're doing that so that you can hear that you can embody that, and that you can start to go okay, I know this, I'm down with this, I'm down with this. And you do a lot of feel-good stuff long before you get sick of it. And then at some point you might. Or we have something else those guys. How long has that been around? Are you tired of it yet? You think they're tired of it? Somebody in their marketing department's if I see another dang cow, I'm going to lose my mind. Can't we go back to chickens, guys? And somebody there that is smart says, no, we cannot go back to chickens. We are using the cows. The cows mean something now. The cows have taken hold, and anytime you see the cow holding a sign, You know exactly what's happening, and that's really pretty powerful. So they give a clear, concise message. I don't know how much clearer or more concise that could be. Eat more chicken. And then they pair it with something that we can remember, and they sell that message over and over and over, and they don't stop selling it for years and years and years of eat more chicken. So, like, out of everything that I've just talked about, I haven't even once even started to talk about what people think marketing is, which is like, where do we put this message? How do we use social media? I haven't even started talking about that. Like, the key to all this is like, the first thing we got to do is understand, like, what is this message? How do we make this like awesome, quick, concise, beautiful message? Who is it that's probably going to buy this thing? And how do I tell them about this message? You know, like, how do I craft this message in such a way that they're going to hear it and understand it, and how can I be consistent about that? So I haven't even gotten into the sexy stuff yet, like, you know, Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still on like step one where I'm saying, like, we just got to know what we're doing. So let's get serious and talk about that for a second. We'll go ahead and move into message delivery. So if there's anybody in the audience, like, this is my little part where I just say I'm sorry if I offend anybody. I'm going to gloss over traditional media, print and radio and TV. There's a place for that. If you're here and you sell that, like, I'm not your enemy. I'm just saying, like, what I do is more digital marketing, so that's what I'm going to talk about. So don't be offended that I'm glossing over that. I'm sure if there's anybody that you know that does that, they will tell you why it's awesome and all the benefits, and, you know, like, listen to those awesome people. So I'm always kind of asking, like, what's the highest and best use of my money? So I'm not saying, like, you know, a big company like Bank Plus, you know, they might say, like, you know, what percentage of our entire budget do we use for marketing? Smaller businesses might say, like, I've got $250 this month that I could use for marketing. If that is the case, what is the best way that you could use that $250? And I'm going to argue that digital marketing is the more affordable approach here. And again, I think you could talk to my friends in the traditional media world, and they wouldn't be able to hear you say a number that low. So I think that there are a lot of opportunities for each one of you that, you know, that want to get into a digital marketing. So some of those different things that are digital marketing are like online advertisements, and obviously you do have social media, you have email marketing, you have a website that's like search friendly and informative, and then you have other tools like that are like local listings, like online listings, like your Google listing. And I'm not sure how familiar y'all are with that. You have to have like a physical location to have one, but it puts you on the map, and we've all used it, you know, like you used it to find a restaurant to go to, and then that, you know, those pop up and they show you the map and they show you the hours of operation on the website. All these types of things are important. I'm going to start off by talking about like online ads. And I want to just tell you one little thing that you could look for out there in the universe that might help. And it's just looking for like localized, regional, local, or just smaller types of websites that you might be able to advertise on. Like if there's a standard, let's just say that the standard looks something like $10 per 1,000 per month. Okay, so let's just say that a website has traffic that reaches 10,000 people a month. Well, at $10 per 1,000 per month, you can do the math and you can see like, wow, you know, like I could get in front of a reasonable amount of people, you know, for a small amount of money. Let's say that website reaches 50,000 people a month. Same thing. You just do the math and you think like, this is a reasonably affordable way to get in front of 50,000 people. And so you would look for smaller opportunities. And you know, I'm gonna plug one. I don't have a dog in the hunt. Like I have a friend who has an Ole Miss sports website. That Ole Miss sports website they're nobody. I mean, like it's not anybody. Like it's not ESPN.com. I can promise you. But what it is it's a website that has, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 people a month that might show up and look. And so they would love to make some money. So, you know, what happens is you're able to get out there and say like, okay, well, this is a very targeted website, you know, and you know, I don't want to, you know, there's all the daddy blogs. I'm just kidding. Nobody calls them that. But like, All the blogs that people have out there that are popular, that people follow, like magic, cooking, awesome people on Pinterest that end up, linking to their 100,000 word story on how they came to make the pancakes that they're making. Like, those people have blogs, and those blogs have visitors. And those people would love to monetize that a little bit, and they're probably not all that expensive. And if those are the people that you're after, it just might be worth kind of looking into in terms of online advertising. Social media, I'm going to get back to this one in a minute because that's, I obviously do want to spend some time on that one. Email marketing. Like, this is back to a real value versus perceived value. So email marketing is cool. It's affordable. Like, we've all heard of maybe like Constant Contact or MailChimp or some tool like that. And the key here is, like, number one, you want to have a great list, right? You want to have a list of people to send to, your current customers and clients and that type of thing. You want to try to add more people to that list, and that's good. But the key to what you want to do is have real value. Again, another piece of message in front of me is not what I like, right? I mean, we're all inundated with those messages again. So now Bo's telling you, hey, send somebody an email. And you're saying, well, Bo, I mean, like, how many messages are we going to send people? They're going to get tired of it. Well, the thing is, like, back to the real value conversation. If that email is actually beneficial to them, they're going to be happy to get it. Ultimately, like, people talk about how short our attention spans are now. And that is total crock. We have all the attention span in the world, and my ability to binge watch something like a whole 8 seasons through a weekend is a testament to that. So, I mean, we all have time for what we want to have time for. And so, like, we cannot forget that. I think that that's a vitally important thing to remember, is that, like, don't discount yourself or think that people don't have the attention span to hear you. You just got to make it so awesome that they want to hear you. So that's email marketing. And so if you're going to use that, make it awesome. Website. Again, let's go back to the beginning of this when we talked about, like, an awesome, simple, understandable message. Take that and incorporate it into your website. Build a website around, like, I want them to walk away from this website with one, like, smack you in your face message that they can't forget. All right, and so that's the key here. It's not about having the biggest, hugest website, and it's not about all the extra stuff. It's about a simple message and trying to make sure that, you got this long. You got to get the message across. Unless, again, your website is so awesome and you're so awesome that they give you this long, which is great. The other thing is about search friendliness. So people ask me all the time about search and search engine optimization, and that's a big word. And if you're in the business world, it's probably something you've heard. But it's a big topic for sure. But the cool thing about Google is they literally exist to answer questions, right? It's altruistic. They genuinely want to answer a person's question. And so what does your website need to do? It needs to answer a question. Like, you need to, again, like, I'm just going back to what I said earlier. You have to empathize. You have to think to yourself, well, what does somebody need to know about leather pants? So that when they type in to Google, like, what is the highest leather grain quality for a leather pant? Maybe your website answers that question. Maybe you have an entire page devoted to, grain quality and leather pant, and you have a link to the National Association for Leather Pants and grain quality, and you have pictures of all these things. And ultimately, when somebody types that in, Google searches the entire internet and says, like, I wonder what, not website, I wonder what web page answers this question. And of course, it does kind of do some local search first. So, if you're in Mississippi, it knows what you are. We're all in the matrix. So it knows where we are, and it's gonna look for that first because they think that might be the most relevant. So it's gonna say, like, hey, well, not only did I find some web pages that might answer this question, this one's kind of close to them. Maybe this is a good thing to return. And so it's just really important that your website be really concise and clear for the person who shows up there and just needs to, like, understand immediately what you do. And then for Google to understand what it is that you're interested in by answering questions that you think people would ask because you put yourself into their shoes and into their leather pants and you're asking the questions that are important. So the last thing is, like, the local SEO, the search. that is that opportunity. I guess y'all are, familiar, like I said, with the idea of those coveted boxes, as I call them, that talk about the hours of operation. You have the opportunity to have reviews on there. And I have a very real mentality about having to go offline to get online success. So if you want great reviews, call your friends, family, tell them to get on the Google and add your review. Waiting on things to happen organically, I'm not saying that you want somebody to get on there and, give them this information, because great marketing like that will make a bad company fail faster. So you want to make sure that you have, a good honest review from somebody that you know and trust that will, put that out there. You might have to go ask them for it. I wouldn't wait around on people to, sort of slowly come around and maybe do that. So now let's talk about the fun thing that everybody likes to talk about, which is social media. And it's a lot of fun and it's awesome and we all enjoy it every day of our life. So let's talk about platforms. The first thing you're going to want to do is choose. You can't do them all. It's impossible. I have tried and it doesn't work, and there are just going to be some that raise to the top for you, and they will change. One of the, I have a separate thing other than this marketing company, and it has a pretty loyal social media following. It started off being really Twitter strong, and that's actually the largest audience still, but Instagram's really where the action is right now. So I like to focus there. And Facebook is not my personal favorite. It is a legitimately amazing business tool that you should use. I'm talking about both personally, the human me that wants to go publish something and share it with my friends. I would rather do that somewhere else. So you can't think about, hey, what do I like to use the most? You have to think about, where is the audience that I'm trying to sell this to? And what did they use? Because that's where I need to be. So you got to kind of take yourself out of it a little bit and not make it about you. It's got to be about them and where they are. So the same thing applies when it comes to perception. I would like to encourage everybody here to grow an organic audience. You can buy followers by the thousands. It's cheap. You know what I'm saying? But what good is it going to be for you to have an Instagram account with 10,000 robots that don't like anything you say? I mean, that I would much rather get out there. You're sharing your message. You're sharing your information. You're out there giving messages of value. You find people that think and act like you, that like your thing, and you build that audience up, and it's real, and that's what creates a community of people like-minded that are into the same thing, and they celebrate what you're doing. And and people say, well, what about content? Where do I get content? Share what you know. You can't be afraid. I talk to businesses all the time, and I still hear words like, I don't want my competitor to know what I'm doing. Or, well, that's kind of a trade secret. That's kind of a secret that we don't want people to know. I don't know if y'all been on the Google lately, but there is no secret left in the universe. Every bit of information in the universe is at your hand. This is not my personality type at all. I'm about to blow y'all's minds. I once put a new fuel pump in my car. That is not what I do at all, right? That is not who I am. But, thanks YouTube, all the information's out there. And so I got on there and I watched it a couple of times. It's surely I can do this. I count myself as being reasonable and, at some level of intelligence. So I grab a Chevy cap and a 6-pack of Tall Boys, crank up some country music and change the thing. So a lot of other people would ask me, how often should I post? And I answer that question with another question. How often can you provide some value? If that's once a week, then post once a week. If it's 5 times a day, post 5 times a day. As long as you can go forward to them and bring something to the table, add to a conversation, make their life better. And I'm not talking about vastly better. I'm talking about regular, some kind of better, not worse. How about that? You make their life not worse by it. Then go for it. So here's what doesn't work. Just touting your sales message over and over and over again. This is a mentality, an internet marketer that I think is pretty cool, whose language would offend us all. It says that their formula is give, 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 ask. And so this goes back to the idea of like, well, what can I give? You can give information. If they had your resources or your ability, they're not going to buy from you anyway. That is not your market. Okay, so, for example, like it would not have helped in that moment for anybody to say like, hey, Bo, here's here's an ad about the water pump. Like, let us do your water pump. I had it in my mind. I was like, I want to do this. I want to figure this out, right? I wasn't their person right then in the moment. But had they shared, like, the person who did literally on YouTube say, this is how you do this, like, they're awesome. And if I ever got to something I couldn't do, I'd probably be inclined to say like, hey, they were really helpful, gave me a lot of awesome information. Like, I want to hang out with them. And so, again, it kind of comes back to just keeping content fresh, to making sure that you're answering questions, that you're sharing information. Like, and then after you give and you say like, hey, by the way, the leather pant convention is this weekend. Here's a coupon. And you do that a few times, then you have permission to get on there and say, hey, by the way, hadn't said this in a minute, but we have really high quality, affordable leather pants that make you look great. And you just sell that same message over and over again. So also I want you to think about social media advertising, because this is really where it's powerful. Because, like, I'm not going to bore y'all with words like algorithms and stuff, but, Facebook does not always make it easy for even your message to be seen by your own audience. And that's unfortunate. So it can be a little bit of a pay to play, but the good news is it's an affordable pay to play. And so, their ad products are so powerful and specific that you would be remiss to not use them, because we have given Facebook all the information it needs to know about us. So you have defined your market. So leather pant analogy, like I want to talk to, I'm going to get this so wrong, I'm so sorry. I want to talk to men between the ages of 45 and 53, interested in motorcycles. You know what I'm saying? Like how can I find these leather pant men, And I'm going to make some judgments about who they are and where I might find them and what they might be interested in. And I'm going to go to them and I'm going to put those metrics in, and Facebook is going to be like, hey, we found 1,200 people that match this criteria. And you're going to be like, awesome. Like, I'm about to put my ad in front of these perfect people. They're the perfect people. And so that's kind of the key, is like, I'm not wasting even a penny talking to grandma, trying to talk her into my leather pants. And so that's good for us all. So think about those advertising opportunities. They're cost effective. Like one real life example that I can share with you recently is I have a client, and this is not divulging too much. I have a client who's an attorney. I went to them at the beginning of our relationship, and I said, like, how much more business would make an impact? And he said, man, if we took on 15 more clients in a year, it'd be awesome. We're like, good, we can do this, I think. And so we go about it. I put an ad out there looking for some very specific demographics. In 1 month, and for $200, 142 people clicked through the ad and went to the website. All right, so he needed 15 in a year. And I got 142 people in 1 month to raise their hand and say, like, I might need some help. And so that doesn't mean that he got those 15 in a month, because then it's a matter of going like, okay, well, now did they call? Did they take the action? And it's like, well, is that page that they went to on the website, is it compelling them to pick up the phone and call now? There's still more questions to ask, but the cool thing is once you get it, it's down to a formula that you can replicate. All right, I'm going to get off social media. That's cool. Y'all can ask questions if you want to. I want to talk for 2 seconds about community involvement. I think it's really important that you get out there, you find the thing you're already interested in, like babies or animals or soccer or whatever it is, and that you participate in that community. And make sure that it's something that you already love, so that, you're not constantly worried about the outcome. If you're outcome oriented, you're going to be sitting there going like, well, I came and I'm supposed to get business out of this. Well, maybe that'd be awesome. But maybe you just love animals, you want to go, and then you let that be a byproduct of the effort that you're putting in. Have a little faith, and don't be, quite so scarcity mindset where it's like, I can't give because what if I don't give back? Like, that's not going to take you very far, and that's a little, a higher level than marketing discussion right there. But I do think it's important to get involved in the community. And people say, well, I don't want to toot my own horn and be out here, I want to be in my prayer closet. Well, I'm just saying that ultimately we have to, you don't toot your own horn, you toot their horn. And by tooting their horn, you're tooting your own horn. Hey, I was so glad these people that saved the animals, we went out and saved some, and it was awesome, and they're doing a great job. What does that say? It says that you were participating in that. And the people that love animals, the next time I'm saving a whale and I need leather pants, I know exactly where to go to. The last thing I want to talk about is networking. I don't have to talk that much about that here because you're all here. All right. So you see the value in networking. But I can tell you that it's the relationships even at this point that I have had that have meant so much and continue to thrive. The very nature of the reason why I'm standing here today comes from the fact that I've been working with Bank Plus and their marketing department for 15 years or something. I don't know, Courtney, how long has it been? A long time. And the reason I did that was because like the marketing director way back then was a gentleman that somebody in this very room introduced me to, Diane Dyer, from back in the day. And so, ultimately that one relationship all the way 15 years ago, and just sort of, I was just like a whippersnapper going like, I do graphic design. And she was like, oh, let me introduce you to somebody. And then all the way up until today, and I'm just here standing in front of you saying like, hey, that's a powerful tool. And again, I'm here to talk about marketing, and so many people probably did think that I was just gonna come and say like, MailChimp, make sure to do an automated drip campaign. That's way too specific. Like first get your message right, figure out who the right people are, and think about the things that other people aren't thinking about, like the power of networking. That's marketing. Marketing is a big word. It's not advertising. That's a totally different word. And so to me, it really is about simplifying this so it doesn't have to feel crazy. It feels like come to lunch and shake a hand and trade a card and build a relationship and have that clear, concise message, that elevator pitch, share that with people, create a community. Talk to them online. I mean, I hope you can see, sort of how it all fits together in that way that is really cohesive. So the bottom line, it's easy. You find your message. You find out who needs to hear that message. You figure out the best opportunities to put that message out there in the universe. You participate in communities that would sort of complement your message. And you actively get out there and hustle with that, And so ultimately, marketing is simple. It's not difficult at all. It's just being like providing real value and being authentically awesome. I probably should have covered that at the very beginning. What you do in your product and service has to be great. Like, if it's not great, then you don't have anything to talk about yet. So first thing you do is make it great. And then, it's much easier to go out there and give that authentic message when what you're doing is awesome. And so when you do all those things, like big awesome stuff's going to happen. And that's my pitch on marketing.